Hello everyone, this is Dina and today is Tuesday. It is the 9th of June and I'm back for a Stitchy update. Well, I picked up another one of my Mania starts. This one is a part of a 4-part series. It's by Jeanette Designs. It's part of her Sew Together, and this is number 3, Scissors and Threads. And I picked this one because it had scissors and threads and I wanted to do it for my sewing room. And then when I wound up picking my fabric for this piece, I had a very large piece of it. And I decided it would be really nice to stitch more than one and put it together as a grouping. I went and looked at these 4, and 3 of the 4 have little animals on them and use almost the exact same color palette. And the 4th one did not. It had more of a red color palette. So I may stitch it at another time, maybe as a single piece, but I wanted these 3 together. So I quickly ordered the other 2 and they've come in. So this is ribbons and trims. Isn't it gorgeous? Has more of the pinks in it. And this is buttons and bows. And Stephanie's got a rabbit. You see that? Such a cute one. So I think these 3 are going to look great together. Here's the one I've already stitched. And then here are the other 2. Don't you think that'll look nice together? I think it will. Try to get it right there. You go, where you can see it a little bit more. Anyway, I mentioned I'd already stitched this one, so yes, I was able to finish it. I picked it up yesterday and I almost finished it yesterday, but I couldn't quite eke it out before I had to go to bed. I had to get up really early this morning, so I couldn't stay up too late. But I finished it. Now mine is not an exact replica of the pattern, but I do think it's a close proximity. I'll let you get a comparison of it. The reason that I say mine is not exactly the same is, if you recall, I changed the border to put more of the blue in it because my sewing room walls are blue and this is going in my sewing room. And rather than call for threads, I picked Sulky threads. I wanted to try them. I had never stitched with them before. I grid with Sulky Sliver, which is the more metallic, slick thread by Sulky, but this is the stitching thread. And it's 1 strand right off the spool equals 2 strands of DMC. So interestingly enough, I had a chance to prove that because one of my colors in this is DMC, and you really can't tell any difference in the coverage, I don't think. I think it's lovely. This piece of fabric I mentioned before, but I'm going to share it with you again because it's so beautiful. And oh, you're getting just the right color of it there. Springfield Sage, and it's a Lugana, and I have no idea where this came from other than I think it may have been from Stitcher's Paradise. I think I may have bought it there. But anyway, I intend, as you see, I have quite a bit of fabric left to do the other 2 on this piece at some time. Not right away, because I got other things I'm trying to do. Another thing I wanted to tell you about today is that I have a new start coming up on June 15th. I'm going to be starting a Teresa Wentzler pattern called Mermaid, but I'm not starting it alone. My friend Melody is going to be starting it with me, and I've invited anyone else who wants to work on a whip that's a Teresa Wentzler or wants to start a new Teresa Wentzler to join us. We're going to have a hashtag, and it will be hashtag TWSAL2020. And that way we can all check on what each other's doing on their Teresa Wentzler patterns and projects in 2020. I'm not the only one that's going to be working on Teresa Wentzler. I'm excited to let you know that Ann P. from Fiber, Floss, and Fiction is going to be joining me and working on a Teresa Wentzler. And Becca is going to be joining with the Teresa Winsler as well. And I just found out yesterday that Sarah, Stitchin' Mommy, is going to pull out one of hers and she's going to start a Teresa Winsler. I know a few of you have stitched a Teresa Winsler. I know Blitch Stitch is stitching one now. And in fact, that's the same one that Sarah's going to be starting. I think it's called English Garden, and it is beautiful. But I would like to invite any of you that are either currently stitching a Teresa Winsler pattern or would like to start one of yours you've had and hanging on to it on the 15th of June, and we can all encourage each other together. It's that I want to talk to you about, because to get ready for my Teresa Winsler start, I have to prepare my threads. And when I say prepare threads, I don't just pull my DMC colors. I've done that. Here they are. Isn't that a beautiful palette? Love it. Well, these are all the regular DMCs. They're single colors. But as you know, Teresa Winsler loves blends. This is the chart of the colors needed. Every one of those brackets is a blend. Do you see a lot of brackets? I do. All down here, there are brackets. So in addition to these colors that I've pulled that are just the single DMCs, I like to make up a bobbin, because I bobbinate my thread. I like to make up a bobbin for every blend. So I thought I would explain that today. I've mentioned this before as a tip, and I've had some people try it and they said it was very, very helpful. So I was just going to show you today what I mean when I say, you know, that I work a bobbin or fix a bobbin with blends. And I'll just pick one and do my first one, and then that'll be one done before the afternoon. All right, so my first blend is going to be 924 and 3808. So I would go in here and pull out 924 and 3808. Oh, that's a pretty blend. Dark and a lighter blue teal. So what I will do is I'll take one of them first. When I pull a length off my bobbin, I have a habit. Someone actually asked me about it at a stitching meetup. They saw me do it and they said, "What are you counting?" I take off a number of twirls, you know, revolutions off that card so that my floss is about the right length every time. For a color that I'm going to do the loop start with, 15 is a perfect for me. But for when I'm going to do a blend and I'm not going to get to do a loop start, I'm going to have to tie these two together or do the Borgello start, then, you know, I don't want it quite as long, so I do 10. But I do the first one, and because you never know quite how it's coming off the bobbin, just to keep from having any waste, I take my first one and I use it as a guide to pull off the second one. So then I know they're going to be the same length for all of the combination of those 6 strands that I'm doing. So I'll take it and cut it the same length. So now I've got these 2 bobbins I've cut a length off of each one. Okay. But I don't stop there, because that's not how I'm going to use them. So what I'll do is I'll take these 2 strands and I'll split them up. And I usually do it one at a time so that I don't get confused and wind up pulling 2 of the same color and thinking that that's my blend. But here's my 2, one of each color. I will take them now, and I'll take my bobbin. Got 2 there. And I will come up here near the front. To me, that's the front, right here. And I will wrap it. And I'm wrapping it all right there in one place. So I've got my first blend sitting right here. And then I will do that again and again and again until I have all 6 of them done. So I'm going to do a couple of them off camera. I won't make you watch that. I will break it and come back and share it with you, because I'm going to show you what I do after I get the first 3. Okay, so my first 3 are on the bobbin. And yes, the ends stick off just a little bit, but you don't worry about that. Then when I get to my 4th one, what I do with it is I turn my bobbin this way, up and down like this, and I wrap it around the middle like so. It helps to hold those threads in place and creates a separation for me. Now that's important to me simply because I have 2 more blank spots here and here, and that's where I'm going to put my 5th and 6th threads, in those 2 spots. And then I want to tell you about numbering. Okay, so now I have wrapped my little bobbin with all of my 6 strands of blends. Now the way that I number my bobbin is, my first number that was called for in the blend was 924, and my second number was 3808. So that's how I list the numbers, in the same order that they will appear next to my symbol, because that makes it easier for me to find it. I know when I see it to go look at 924. In my bobbin box, I look for my number 924, and then I will put my blend directly behind it. It's sort of like almost like the library system, you know, where you put your numbers, your books that way. And I'll put it right behind it. So when I go to look for 924, 3808 is right behind it. If there's another blend where 924 has the first number, I will put them in numerical order by the second number behind 924, so that I'm always looking for these blends behind the first number that's on my pattern, so that I know that's where they are in the box. And when I get those set up that way, I have a bobbin for every possible blend. And so any color that's called for, I just grab my bobbin and go. It really helps me to speed things up. If you're working on a pattern with blends, especially if you only have a few, give it a try. See how you like it and see if it doesn't speed it up for you. Anyway, any help you can get to speed up a Teresa Winsler is a good thing, right? Well, that's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon. So I'm going to get started on it. And I just thought I would share it with you simply because I'd been asked about it in the past. And I know some of you are new subscribers and may not have seen that before. And since I was told it was a good tip, I thought I'd share it again, especially since I'm going to be doing it today. Well, have a great afternoon, and I will talk to you soon. Happy stitching. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Dina, and today is Wednesday. It is June 10th. I have been busy. Not stitching, not till today. I spent a couple of days organizing my floss box, making my bobbins of blended thread for my Teresa Winsler start on the 15th. So that took probably an entire afternoon that I didn't get to stitch, but it's ready. So now I'm all set. I'm excited about it. So today, after quite a busy day, had one of our planning meetings for our big fundraiser at church that we normally do every year. It's a huge venue where we have about 72 vendors that come and set up booths, and people come and shop, and with the social distancing that we have now to deal with, that's not going to be doable this year. So we've had to back up and decide, are we going to do anything at all? If so, what is it going to look like? And so today was our second planning meeting. We are going to try to do a virtual event, a virtual shopping event, if the vendors are willing to try that with us. we're trying to do our research and get all of our data together. So today was a big meeting, took a little while. And then today also was my turn, and my son went with me to help me pack grocery bags for our pantry. And, you know, we're trying to keep only 2 volunteers at a time in the building. And they're giving out groceries on Friday, and they needed the bags prepared. And we like to give it 2 to 3 days to, you know, make sure there's no germs left in there from anybody. So my son and I went today and did that this afternoon. And, you know, choir practice. And today was a busy, busy day. In addition, I had one of those annual things you do. I had a skin check at the dermatologist just to make sure that I don't have anything to be worried about, and I don't. So that was good news, and I'm really glad I got to do that. It was canceled during the COVID-19 situation, so I was grateful to be able to go, even if, you know, it was in mask, and that's okay. You know, I got that checked out, and that's another thing I've done for my good health. So I hope you'll do that as well. Make an appointment and get a skin check every year. Make sure you're not having any skin cancer develop. So there's my PSA for the day. So when I got home this afternoon, early evening, right before choir practice and then after, I did some stitching. And I said just a few days ago that the whip that was scheduled to be stitched on for a prompt that day was Sleepy Hollow, and I just wasn't in the mood for it. I think I was too excited about the fact that I still had a Stitch Mania start that was something I felt I could finish, and I shared that with you already. So I got that done, and then today I looked, and I think that most of the rest of my Stitch Mania starts are going to take more than 1 or 2 sessions to finish them. So I decided, okay, they are now whips, and I'll just work on whips. So I'll go back to meeting prompts. So today I worked on Just Keep Stitching. And I will let you know that I decided I was going to start working on the star in the middle there, the Headless Horseman. I'm not going to do the moon until I've got all the other stitching done, because I'm actually going to do this moon with a glow-in-the-dark thread. And I'm not sure that I'm going to want to roll it in my scroll rods. So I'm going to wait, treat it like a specialty thread. So this is what I got done today. There's the horse's head started. Look at those red eyes, or the eye that you can see. Anyway, when I saw it was the color 318, I thought, I need to check this, and went and pulled back the picture and looked, and yeah, he has red eyes. So I went ahead and did it. But I was a little worried about that for a moment. But I think that's coming along well. I was pleased about it. A couple of things. One, I did put some Krynic in it, in the bridle. I went ahead and got that put in. Because it's a small amount and it's all clustered together, and I don't think it'll get hurt. So I went ahead and did that so I wouldn't have to go back and catch it later. The other thing that's interesting is that on the DMC conversion for this color in the bridle that he's wearing, that color converted to a DMC number 829. But unfortunately, another symbol converted to 829, and there was an asterisk by it. There was a note that said that was the closest one for both colors, even though, you know, the original anchor threads that it was charted for, they're different. So I checked my floss box, and sure enough, I didn't want to have to use the same color, and especially if I was concerned they were going to be next to each other or something. So I had ordered the anchor floss for that. So tonight, stitching this bridle, I stitched with anchor for the first time. I'd never had anchor thread before. I always had a DMC. So there's a first for you on this one. I'm glad I got to put some time into it, and was happy to be able to meet a prompt with it in my Facebook group. So now this will go away tonight, and I'll check what I've got on tap for tomorrow as far as my whips. I have another meeting for our special event, and but hopefully that'll be all that I have to do tomorrow. So maybe I'll get some stitching time in. We'll see. I hope you are getting stitching time, and I hope you're doing well. And until I see you again, happy stitching. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today is the 12th of June, and I'm here with a little bit of a different update today. I have only stitched for about 5 minutes today, and that is not an exaggeration. Today has been a very busy day. We took Coco to meet Fred again and the potential dog sitters, and I am happy to report she did much, much better today. She was still a little leery of Fred, but she got close enough to smell of him and to let him smell of her, and she's still not comfortable 100% with him. You know, if he moves, she jumps. But she did go for a walk with he and my husband. They were both off leash, running around and playing today, not necessarily with each other, but in the same vicinity. And so it was a much, much better experience today. We have plans to maybe have another play date next week, and then maybe we'll be ready to let her stay part of a day with this family and see how she does. But the funniest part was when we got there today and the wife of this couple came out to greet us. Coco just broke loose and ran to her and loved all over her. It's obvious that they have bonded well. And so that thrilled my heart and hers. She was so tickled that Coco remembered her. So tonight, my husband said something about what a good job she had done today when she saw Fred. And when he said Fred's name, her eyes got really wide and she ran to the door like she was ready to go and visit him again. So maybe, just maybe, you know, maybe we'll have something we can work on. So what else did I do today? Well, I decided to do a bit of finishing today since my, day was already sort of interrupted. So I have a couple of fully finished objects I want to share with you today. This is the first one. This is one of my Mania starts that I finished this past week, and it is called Begging Dog, I think is exactly the name of it, but it's a Joan Elliott. And I picked up this picture frame at Hobby Lobby. Of course, it was half price. And it's one of those I've mentioned before, but in case you weren't watching me then, these backs are just kept on with these little swivels, and they move very easily, and you can lift the back right off. Well, I do that right there in the store. And if it's got 2 to 3 pieces of corrugated foam paper in there, cardboard, I know that my foam core will fit in that the well is deep enough for at least one piece of foam core and the back. And that's what I did. I pinned it myself, popped it in here, and I have it finished for about $10. Got it finished. So very happy with that. So that can go out now in the house. And I'm sorry if you can hear Coco barking, but she has decided that something startled her. She sees her reflection in our door. It's got glass in the middle, and we can't convince her that there's not a dog trying to get in the house. Anyway, my other fully finished object today is a gift, and it's a gift for my husband. We have our wedding anniversary coming up on the 20th of June. And I stitched this piece during Stitch Mania. I actually finished it during Stitch Mania. And you may recognize it again. But every night my husband comes in when he goes to bed and he puts his car keys and his wallet and his comb on his dresser. And he's always afraid that Coco's going to get them to play with him. And so today, when I was at Hobby Lobby, I picked up this little keepsake box. just a little wooden box. The top opens up, and you know, you can keep your things inside. And this is just a top that was kept in with points from a point driver, and you just bend them up and move it out of the way. And so what I did is I took a really thin piece of foam core, and I used the stitchery tape that is the acid-free tape that you can use to attach your needlework. And I just used stitchery tape on this one and popped it right back in. And so I think that will make him a very nice little tray to keep his belongings in every night when he comes to bed. He'll know that I was thinking of him. So that is what I did with that piece. Now, the other thing I want to show you is a finish. I shared this on a recent, or I plan on sharing this tomorrow morning. I'm going to be filming with the Sunshine Stitchers, and you'll see that before you see this, so I can talk about it. But they emailed me and asked me if I would be their guest this coming weekend on Saturday, and I'm very excited about that. So I'll be sharing this with you there, but just in case you didn't catch that yet, I want to share something that very special. Recently, I mentioned that my adopted sister, my sister who we've adopted each other for various reasons, has asked me if I would stitch something for her great niece on a consignment. And I told her, you know, if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't do this. But her great niece, who is all of the age of 6, has decided that she wants her initial in her room for a keepsake. And her mom, my sister's niece, said she really, really wanted it in cursive. And she wanted it just a big, bold, black cursive E with some flowers on it, and to keep it very simple and very old-fashioned looking. So I looked around for several patterns. I sent several different cross-stitch patterns for them to look at, and all of them were too fancy and too busy or had too much on them. I sent them Nora Corbett's letters, you know, and that was too childish, they felt like. She just really wanted something that looked almost antique. So I sketched this up based on an alphabet I had seen from Pinterest, which was actually of Russian origin, and I couldn't track down a pattern on it, so I used it as an inspiration piece. And I went ahead and grafted this and stitched it up. This is the E, which is the first initial of her name. And it was so much fun because I sent just a photocopy, you know, black and white photocopy of this to say, of my charting, you know, how do you like it? And they loved it. And then when I got to picking these colors for the flowers, I sent 3 choices and let the little 6-year-old pick which pink she liked. And here's the funny part. The name of this pink is Bubblegum. How appropriate for a 6-year-old. So here it is, it's finished. And so now I'm gonna give it a good pressing. And I'm just gonna leave all the fabric here because I don't know how they want to finish it, whether they want to frame it, put it as a pillow, you know, kind of what. I think they're gonna frame it, but I don't know for sure. But I wanted to share that finish with you. That's another finish for me. And the last thing I have for you today is haul. I have been trying to beef my fabric stash back up because I really depleted it during Mania. I don't think I have ever kitted that many things even near each other, much less at the same time. And I tried to do every bit of it that I could from stash. And so I have been doing really well this year in my Stitch from Stash. And so I had I had a little bit of a budget in there. I had over $100 in my little fake, account. And I decided I'd give myself permission to actually spend it as if it were real because I had earned it. So I ordered some small pieces of fabric because I am starting to do some small projects, and I wanted them in some sort of neutral colors, but not beige or brown. And so things that could be easily, lend themselves to stitch various and sundry projects. So I have 4 new pieces of fabric. Now these are small. These are just the a fat eighth. I just wanted to kind of see what they look like and use them for a small. And then if I really fall in love with one of them, I can get me a fat quarter. So the first one that I'm going to show you is Ceridian, and all of these 4 are fabrics hand-dyed by Stephanie. And so this is what my Ceridian looks like. All of these are 32 count, and they are Lugana, but this is Ceridian. A little bit of pink and green in there. Oh, so pretty. Looks very springish, very summery. I like that. I think that's lovely. And I'll apologize in advance that you may hear a little bit of crinkling as I slip it back in its pouch. I did open them all before I got started, but if I don't put it back in with its name, I may never know what it is. I think you understand. The second Lugana that I got is called Seaside, and it has more of a little blue-green tint to it. Isn't that pretty? A little bit of the sand in there, but isn't that beautiful? Really lovely. It turned out really, really pretty. Okay, the third one that I want to share with you, again, is my 32 count Lugana. As you can tell, I'm trying to completely beef up that collection because I've got plenty of 28 count and I don't use it that much anymore. I love 32 count now. So this is Meadow. Now this one is really green. This one is much greener than the one. It to you may look the same because you're not getting in it. There we go. Let me get back to where it turned green for a second, and you'll be able to see it. Anyway, it's not showing how green it really is, so I'm sorry about that, but that may be a little bit closer. Very pretty though. And then the final one that I have is called Melody. And it has a little bit more of a purpley, pinkish, I guess, tint to it. So let me show that one to you as well. Look at that, it looks just like the one above before it. There we go, that's better. I think that's pretty. Okay. So those are my 4 pieces of fabric, as I said. A fat eighth, which is usually half of the size I normally buy. I like to get a fat quarter because then if I want to put something a little bit larger on it, I have plenty of room. And unless I'm ordering something for a much, bigger project. But for just a generic piece to put in my stash, I like usually a fat quarter. Well, it's been a good day. Got stash or haul for my stash. I did a little bit of stitching and talked to my sister Stephanie, and then took Coco for a play date and did just a few minutes of stitching. Not enough to even show you. I've still got it on my frame. I'll be working on it some in the morning. But I hope you have had a good day as well. It's Friday. It's actually a stitch-a-thon this weekend. I think I said it was last weekend because I thought it was. I actually counted all my stitches to turn it in, and when I went to post it, I realized I'm a weekend early. It was my calendar's fault. I had a calendar where the dates were very far to the bottom of each day, and it looked like it's on the next day. And so I was having a really hard time getting appointments on the right days and things, and I thought maybe I was losing my mind and being forgetful, but it wasn't that. It was the way that the numbers were on the calendar. So I ordered me a new calendar. Yes, I did. I've got it changed out already. I'm not going to do that again. Anyway, I'm going to let you get back to stitching. I'm going to go get some shut-eye, and I will see you tomorrow. Happy stitching, everyone. Bye. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Dina, and I am here today on Saturday, June the 13th, to give you an update on my stitching. Oh, I've had a wonderful morning. Today I had been invited by the Sunshine Stitchers to be their guest on their Flosstube, and we filmed that this morning, and I tell you what, I had such a good time. We all met at StitchCon last year, and had StitchCon been able to go this year, we would have been there this weekend. So it was sort of one of those bittersweet moments when Gary realized that and said, hey, we would have all been together this weekend anyway. Would have been a wonderful time. So we're looking forward to next year for sure. Well, after we recorded their Flosstube, I was able to do some other things here, and one of them included stitching. So I pulled out one of my Mania starts, and to meet a prompt. One of the newest prompts in one of my Facebook groups was to stitch on something with red thread. So I pulled out my Stitch in Time, which is my Mill Hill kit, and you can see there's quite a bit of red on that tomato. And so I had done one color of the red. I had done the darker colors that are in the creases there. So today I filled in the other color of red. Now all of that is minus the beads, of course, but there you have it. It's getting started. And I was able to put in 340 red stitches today. So I think I did pretty well, made pretty good progress there. And I'm ready to move on and pick up my next whip to work with. I think I've pretty much worked through the ones that I'm going to be able to finish this month. I did those pretty quick, and so now I'm just trying to work on a few of my whips to move them forward just a little bit more. And tonight I'm actually going to pull out all of my Christmas, and I will be doing just what I did in Mania. I will be looking at what I really want to start and make sure I have it kitted, and I'll use this month to kit it up, and then I will do a schedule like I did for Mania, and I will have a combination of new starts and whips, and I will do Christmas in July. So I should be ready either part of this video or my very next video might be my Christmas in July lineup. So Sheila asked me today, you know, what are your plans? What are your plans? And I told her, you know, this is what I'm planning on doing, the Christmas in July. And I did say today that I know of at least 10 new starts that I want to make. So I don't know if there'll be more, but I know there's at least 10 that I want to do. So gonna go ahead and pull all that out and start working on those plans tonight so that I can share them with you. If you are planning to do a Christmas in July, I would love to hear what you're going to do, whether you're going to do ornaments like Sheila said she does a lot of her family ornaments in the month of July because they do an ornament exchange, and she gifts a lot of ornaments in her family. And she said she stitches them in July and then waits and finishes them closer to Christmas, which I thought was a great idea. Great idea. So thank you, Sheila. I may adapt that and use that myself some. Well, I'm going to let you get back to stitching. I'm going to get busy planning, and I will talk to you soon. Hope you have a great weekend. Happy stitching. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Dina. Today is Sunday. It is June 14th and I have been stitching away this afternoon and I wanted to come share with you my progress. I was stitching for a prompt in one of the Facebook groups. The prompt was to stitch on something that had a separation in it, where there was something in the pattern itself that separated one part of it from another. So I felt like this was a really good project for the reason that what I completed at the last stitching was this beautiful vine that completely separates the top portion of the sampler with the rest of the sampler. So I chose to stitch on this today, and as usual I started on the left-hand side and I'll work my way across. So I started with the border and I wound up putting in 314 stitches today. I needed 300 for my prompt. The prompts that I'm working on this week, this one will allow you to stitch 100, 200, or 300 stitches. You just get more credit the higher you go. And I always like to, if I can, do the higher amount of stitches simply because it helps me to progress my project along. So there you have it, 314 stitches in the border today. So I'm very happy with that. I'm gonna put that aside now and get ready for a restful evening because tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow I have a big new start, my new Teresa Winsler start. The Mermaid, so I'm really excited about that. Can't wait to start it. So I have some news. I have revised and revised and revised my Christmas in July plans. I had what I thought was my plan last night when I went to bed. I had written it out for every day for 31 days, exactly what I was gonna stitch on. I had all of my Christmas whips in there, and I had about 14, I think, 14 new starts. And I started trying to make sure that I had them all kitted up. And I realized that having that many new starts, I had not kitted them all up. I had kitted up a few of them, because I kitted them up even when I was kitting up Mania, because these were Christmas starts that I knew I was gonna do either in Mania or right after Mania in Christmas in July. And so those I had kitted. I had those done. But there were probably 5 or 6 that I had not kitted yet. I have fabric, but I had not put the floss in with them. And this is DMC floss. So I went to pull the DMC floss for them and discovered that because I have so many whips right now and so many things kitted, I was gonna have to buy almost all the DMC floss for all these new starts that I didn't already have kitted. And that meant that when I finished that project, I would have duplicates or triplicates of those numbers, those colors, because I would have had to buy them just for that project when I have them in other projects. So I wasn't quite happy with that. I thought, right now I'm trying to stitch from stash. I'm trying to stay home and shelter in place as much as possible. And I just didn't feel good about it. And I think part of it was when I got up this morning and I read that list again and I saw 14 new starts, I decided I better count up my whips. And I probably needed to see how many of those new starts in July would I be able to finish and how many were going to go into that whip pile. And I got a little nervous about that. It's more than I am ready for, let's just say that. So I decided I could take a whole different tactic. I could still have a bunch of new starts, but a lot of them could be in the two series that I'm doing, in my Advent Animals and in my hands-on designs. So I played with the idea of doing all of the rest of my Advent Animals and all the rest of my hands-on design and just let that be the Christmas in July. But I felt like that would be a little bit, for me, a little bit monotonous, you know, to do the exact same fabric and the exact same style. You know, I really like my variety. So I thought, okay, I'm going to combine the best of both worlds. I'm going to take part of what I did my first go round with new starts that I have kitted. I'm going to put a lot of my hands-on design and Advent Animals in there. And I'm going to put all of my whips in there and see how that works. And I think that's the winning combination. It solves the kitting up problem because all of the ones I've put in here I'd already have kitted. Some of them I was able to kit this morning. Others I wasn't able to do because I just ran out of DMC in those colors. Some of the colors are very popular, you know, so I had run out of them. So what I'm going to share with you now are my July plans as they stand, anyway, as of this moment. So in Christmas in July, I am planning on several things. I'm planning on stitching these projects on days that qualify for sales. And I'm also planning on doing a lot of these in hopes that I can do like I did in Mania and finish them when I start them, finish them before I move on to the next thing. So here's my list if you're ready. I would like to start out on the 1st for a sal, which is a 1 in a series sal with cross stitch finish line, and do my 9 ladies dancing, which is a hands-on design, 12 days of Christmas. It's the next one that I'm due to do. And I would like to do that because it is definitely a series and would qualify for that sale. And I'm going to stitch on it the 1st and the 2nd because I think it may take me 2 days to finish it. Then I would like to pick up a whip, and because I want to stitch on it for the 1 day, and that's Crystal Christmas. I'm toying with putting it sort of in the back burner after Christmas in July because it is such an intense piece. And I think I have so many intense pieces right now with the Nativity and Crystal Christmas and Giggles in the Snow and Friends that's full coverage. I'm feeling a little bit stressed. So I thought, well, I'll take one of my biggest, most complex ones and I could put it off until I finish at least one of the other 2 or 3, you know. But I do want to get another day on it in Christmas, Christmas in July. So I'm looking to stitch on that on the 3rd. Right now, I would like to stitch on Wintertime on the 4th because there's a red, white, and blue sal, and the colors in that are red, white, and blue. So it won't be a patriotic stitch. It will wind up being a Christmas stitch, but in the right colors. So then there's another sal. There's 2 actually on the 5th. There's the Work That Whip sal there, and then there's also the full coverage on the 5th sal. So I'm going to start my Friends on that day, and I've given myself 2 days to do that section. I may wind up needing a 3rd, and so I reserve the right on any of my other stitching days that if I finish something earlier or earlier enough in the day that I'll start working on Friends if I need to. But by the end of the month, I will have that section completed. I have to, even if it means not making a new start on something. Then on the 7th, I would like to do Freezing Season. I was going to start that in Mania. If you recall, I had the wrong size sled, therefore the perforated paper was the wrong size. So I've got the right size sled now. I just need to cut my own perforated paper and I'll be ready to go. again, I've given myself 2 days to do that on the 7th and the 8th because I'm hoping that with 2 days of stitching, I would be able to finish stitching it. And that way, even if I don't fully finish it till closer to Christmas, you know, I can glue it on the sled later, but I would like to get the stitching done if I could on the 7th and 8th. And then I would like to do an Advent animal, Gigi Stitches. Would hopefully be the next one. I think I have 2 slated for June. I'm not sure, but I think I do, to meet Sal's. And then a new start, a new piece, also potted poinsettia. It was one I had kitted. I had planned on starting it in Mania until I decided I was going to move all the Christmas out of Mania and do it in July. And so I have that little ornament already kitted, ready to go with fabric and floss. And so I hope to get it stitched, and I'm giving myself 2 days, the 11th and the 12th, to get that one stitched. And that's pretty good because that's a stitch-a-thon in Cross Stitch Finish Line, and so all those stitches will count for me putting my name in a drawing. And then on the 13th and 14th, I would like to work again on Christmas Garden, the one you just saw. I'm thinking that on the next, there's a fairly large flower motif that goes right here. And then there's 2 small motifs that go here. So maybe working on it for 2 days, I might be able to get that whole section, you know, of those 2 big things done, working my way across the middle. So we'll see. But that would be my hope anyway. And then on the 15th, for a Sal, a sparkle Sal, I'll be doing Giggles in the Snow. And the reason that one qualifies is because the fabric sparkles. And so that makes it easy to meet that stitch along. The next new start is going to be one that is for my sister. It's a Christmas present for her, so I won't say it out loud. But if you saw my Mania video, you saw it because I told her to look away. Then on the 18th, I'm going to go back and start 10 Lords of Leaping back on that hands-on design series, because I'll stitch on it for 2 days. It may take 2 days to finish. And on the 19th is a Sal called Dark Sal, and it's to stitch on something dark or with a dark subject matter, like dark fabric or with dark thread or something, you know, scary. Well, the hands-on design stitching that I'm doing is on that rubeous dark red fabric, and so I think that would qualify for the Dark Sal. And then on the 20th, I'm going to start the Christmas spool tree. Now, I didn't have this one kitted, but I'm starting it because there's a person that watches my channel who said they would like to start it with me in Christmas in July. And I remembered that I had someone who wanted to get it started with me, and I didn't want to not do it. So I did look this morning, and I didn't have all the threads for it, but I have enough to get started. And so I will be starting it. It may be a small start for now until I can get all the thread, but I do have it. And there is a Sal that's going to qualify for. And I think it may be that someone's stitching it with me. That may be what I put that one for. And then the next, on the 21st, I have Hamilton Horse. And again, I've given myself 2 days in case it takes me 2 days to stitch any of these. And then on the 23rd, I'm going to switch back up and do that 11 drummers drumming, hands-on design. I've got 2 days for that. Then on the 25th, I'm going to start one of my Christmas ones I've been wanting to start, which is Holy Night. It's a shepherd's bush, and it's long and beautiful, and I've gotten all the buttons for it, and I was able to pull enough of my DMC to get it started. And so I'm going to do that. I have it slated for 2 days. I may wind up only doing one if I already run into a problem with the floss. If I hit the colors I need and don't have them, and I don't want to have to count too far, down below, I may wind up doing that only one day, but we'll see. Then on the 27th, I am scheduled to start Remy Rabbit, which is another Advent animal, and I have 2 days to finish him. And then on the 29th, I'm going to switch back up. I'm going to do my 12th hands-on design, which will be 12 Piper's Piping. And that will complete that series. And I think that would be an awesome thing to do in July, as part of my Christmas in July, to get a completion of those 12. And then I'll have them all finished, and I can decide how I want to fully finish them, and I'll have them all ready to do at one time. I have 2 days slotted for that. And then on the 31st, because it meets a sale on the 31st, I've waited to do Winter Quaker. Now, in case you were wondering, well, Dina, where are the rest of your whips? They're not there. This will be the first time that I have willingly allowed an entire month to go by that I don't touch every whip I have. I'm touching all my Christmas whips, but I'm not touching every whip I have. And I think part of that is because this month I'm doing fewer of my Christmas whips because I knew they were going to have a focus next month. I just feel like with as many whips as I have right now, that it's okay to do that for a special occasion like Christmas in July. And then when I get back into August, that's going to be an interesting plan because I'll have all these new projects and I'll have to decide, do I want to keep them all active? Do I want to pick some from each category and just work on them till I have a finish and then slide the next one in? I'm not sure. I think I probably would finish things quicker if I did it that way. But why don't you tell me what you think? Those of you who have multiple whips, large numbers of whips, like 20 or more, that you have active, that you're working on, do you find that if you work on a set number of them at a time, like 5 or 10, that you get more finishes? Or do you just enjoy stitching on them and it doesn't matter? You finish them when you finish them. You know, the only one I have a timeline on right now is Friends. And so I will be stitching on it the whole month to get that section done. But it is a Christmas piece, as I've said before, because it's got the Christmas holly in the window, and it's a Christmas present for a friend, so it would qualify either way. But that's my plan as of now, and I counted up how many Advent animals I would have left after I stitched Remy Rabbit, and it was enough that if I did 2 a month, it's just one every 2 weeks, I think I would be finished in about 3 or 4 months. So it would be very easy to get that series completed this year as well. So I would have so many new ornaments. I would have my Hands-On Design 12, and then I would have 25 Advent ornaments. So that would be a great accomplishment, I think, for this year. I hope that you will join me in Christmas in July, whether it's working on one of your Christmas pieces or a few, like one a week, or whether you just want to pull a few into your rotation to give a nod to Christmas in July. And maybe you don't like Christmas stitching enough to do the whole month like I'm going to do. But whatever you decide to do, I hope you'll join us. And tomorrow, I hope you'll join us with the Teresa Winsler Sal. And in the meantime, happy stitching. Good night.